Have you ever seen the movie Transformers? I remember whenever I was a kid, my grandfather brought me to an outdoor theater when we could watch it, and I loved it. I remember whenever my parents would be driving down the road or I'd be walking on the sidewalk, I would immediately look across to a car, hoping the car would pop up as a transformer and I could catch it in action. But what I later realized is I wasn't just yearning to see a transformer. I was yearning to be part of the drama in Transformers. You see, there's this fight between the good guys and the bad guys, good and evil, light and darkness, making the world a good, a safe place to live, or bringing chaos and darkness and terror into the world. And I wanted to be part of the good guys in that. As Optimus Prime says to Megatron at the end of the movie, we are given power to change our world, but you chose to destroy it. And I wanted to choose to make it good again. This desire was so deep within my heart that when I was 17, I enlisted as a combat engineer in the US Army because I wanted to go and fight bad guys. I wanted to bring security and peace and order and goodness into a world that seemed so unsafe, so full of chaos, that had so much pain and darkness already in it. What I found amazing when I started following Jesus is that as a baptized Christian, we are already thrown into a cosmic battle, an adventure of sorts that goes beyond anything we could ever fathom or imagine. Whether we like it or not, we are thrown into this cosmic battle between light and darkness, between good and evil. And we have to choose. Are we on the side of the good guys or the bad guys? At the same time, this should be both exhilarating and terrifying for us. Our allies are so much greater than anything we could ever find here on earth. But our enemies are also so much more terrifying, so much greater than any enemies we could ever fight here on earth. Let me explain what I mean. The very beginning of the Bible, the first book of Genesis, it says, "In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. The earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep." This phrase, without form and void, is Hebrew poetry, tohu wa-bohu. Tohu wa-bohu. What that means is a world that is full of darkness and chaos and disorder. Now we find out immediately after this what happens to it. God brings order and light into it. God speaks into the world, and the tohu wa-bohu has to retreat. But that's the next video. So I want to focus on what the tohu wa-bohu is and how this still impacts us in this video. The best imagery I can give for tohu wa-bohu is a game I used to play with my friends when I was 6 or 7 years old, or possibly 15 or 16 years old. We would go down into my parents' basement and we would shut off the lights and we would all go hide behind couches or in different corners, and we would pick up pillows and stuffed animals and start throwing them at each other. And then eventually somebody would throw a plastic toy that was a little harder than they should have, and somebody would get mad, so they would throw a golf ball back, and next thing you know, there's these hard things being thrown all over the room, and you're in one of two spots. You're either really angry and throwing things back at somebody because you're mad at them, or you're hiding behind a couch with a pillow over your head, hoping not to get hit, paralyzed, not able to get up and move, scared, wondering when someone's going to turn on the lights. When is my mom and dad going to come down and put an end to this absolute chaos? When will the lights come on and the darkness be over? That's tohu wa-bohu. And we've all experienced this in life. We've all had moments where we feel paralyzed in fear, where we're whimpering in pain, where we're stunned in confusion and we're wondering, God, where are you? Why would you allow this? Why is the world like this? We find this in the Bible because immediately God clears the tohu wa-bohu, but later on in Jeremiah chapter 4, it comes back again. Jeremiah, who is denouncing all of the evil and the sin that is happening in Jerusalem, who's foreshadowing an army that's about to come and invade, sees a deeper evil, a spiritual darkness that has come over the people. And he tells them that he had looked upon the earth, and behold, it was waste and void. Tohu wa-bohu. I looked at the heavens, and they had no light. To the mountains they were quaking. There was no man left. The birds had fled. The fruitful land was a desert. The cities were laid in ruins. So what went wrong? Has God failed? Absolutely not. Has he taken the tohu wa-bohu out of the world? Absolutely he has. We know that we are moral actors in God's plan for our lives. He gives us real responsibility where we can cooperate with him and work with him to bring order and goodness and light into the world. Or we can turn away from him and bring tohu wa-bohu back into a world full of darkness already. That's called sin. You see, whenever I go to school, if I'm sick, even if I feel strong enough to be at school, if I start coughing all over my students, I'm infecting them whether I desire to or not. I'm making them sick. The same thing, if I drive a car that hasn't passed the emissions test, I'm putting a lot of pollution into the air. And I don't mean to infect other people, to hurt other people, but the reality is I am hurting the environment around me. There is no sin that is private. Every time we sin, we are causing a spiritual illness, a spiritual pollution into the world around us, and we're hurting others. When we cover the Bible in my freshman scripture class, the students inevitably at some point ask, "Brother, why would God allow Sarah to be barren, or Rebecca, or Rachel? What had they ever done wrong? Why would God allow Hannah to be barren? She was a very godly woman." And I ask them to think about their own lives. Are there examples you know of where God has allowed somebody to get cancer who loves Jesus and follows Him faithfully? Or a couple to be barren that wants nothing more than to have a child simply to glorify God? Or somebody who loses a child and nobody can understand why? The reality is we live in a world that is full of tohu wa-bohu, and we're all hurt by this darkness and evil. But what is imperative for us all to recognize is that every time we have sinned and turned away from God, we have partially caused this into the world. We have hurt others. We are moral agents in this drama of human life. I cause pain. I cause suffering. I cause hurt into others. This can be terrifying, but what's also amazing about this is that if we turn away from our sin and towards God, if we turn towards a righteousness that God can offer to us, if we turn and begin to pray again, we can begin to be positive moral agents that take tohu wa-bohu out of the world and bring light and order and goodness and to cooperate with God in recreating the world, so to speak. This is why contemplatives that live in a chapel their entire lives can be more fruitful for the kingdom than the most active missionary. You see, their righteousness is taking that spiritual pollution out of the world and helping others. God has told me before, "Brother, you will save more souls in the chapel by your prayer than you will ever save in your active ministry." What we do with our lives matters with others. And every action we take, for good or for bad, we are playing a role in this cosmic battle between good and bad. And this is both exhilarating and terrifying, because we as Christians are given power to change our world. And we can either destroy it or we can continually rebuild it with God. May we cooperate with God and bring a world full of goodness and order and peace to so many people that are hurting with the tohu wa-bohu that's been unleashed.